Honestly, we need a longer show to cover all of the corruption in this town. Good evening, and thank you for joining us on O'Connor Tonight, live from Washington, D.C. The stories keep getting worse out of Capitol Hill. I don't know where to start. The bogus charges against Donald Trump, the corrupt January 6th committee and their actions, or, of course, the lack of action against the Biden family. Let's start with January 6th, because joining us right now is Representative Harriet Hageman. She is, of course, a Republican from Wyoming, and you replaced Liz Cheney because of her
Yes,
stellar job on that committee. Thanks for joining us.
thank you for having me, Larry.
Well, I was astounded, but I guess I shouldn't be astounded to learn yesterday that that committee, headed up by your predecessor, Liz Cheney, they deleted evidence that was used to build the case against Donald Trump, evidence that could be used by Donald Trump to defend himself in court. How is this even possible?
Well, it just shows you the level of corruption, to use the word that you have used as well. They had a goal in mind, and the goal was to destroy Donald Trump and all of his supporters. And when you're not interested in the truth, but you have a political agenda, then I guess all is fair in love and war, as they say. And it doesn't surprise me that they did it. What surprises me is the effort by the mainstream media to ignore not only this corruption, but to ignore the corruption of the Biden family and anything that doesn't fit their narrative or their agenda.
Yeah, I'll say. And I'm just curious, because I do want to move on to that too, but have we gotten to the bottom of the legality of this? I know Congress is, in fact, they always say nobody's above the law. Congress is above the law. They can make rules under various speakers. Nancy Pelosi could say, absolutely delete it, delete all that evidence, destroy it. We don't need it anymore. And there will be no actual felony charges for destruction of evidence. Is that what happened here, or is the stuff misplaced? I know you're in recess right now in your beautiful home state, but do we have an answer on any of that yet?
I don't know that we do have an answer, but one of the troubling aspects of Washington, D.C. is the lack of accountability. People engage in wrongful or illegal conduct, and they're never held accountable for it. And I do believe that the current Congress, the 118th, through both the Judiciary Committee, the Select Committee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government, as well as the Oversight Committee, we're attempting to find a way to hold people accountable. And I think that this is one of the issues that we need to address.
I'll say. And let's turn to the Biden family right now, because yesterday, as you know, the Oversight Committee, headed by Congressman James Comer, released more documents showing upwards to $20 million that the Biden family accumulated while he was vice president of the United States. First of all, I think it's important to point out this isn't like money coming from Finland, Canada, or for that matter, business done here in the United States of America. These countries, Ukraine, Russia, China, Kazakhstan, these aren't our friends.
No, what this is, and what again, talking about the mainstream media, they keep saying, "Well, where's the smoking gun? How do you tie this money to Joe Biden? How do you know that Joe Biden was involved?" I think what we need to do is start using some common sense. Hunter Biden had no skill set. Hunter Biden wasn't a practicing attorney. He wasn't an accountant. He wasn't an economist. He wasn't an expert on employment law. Hunter Biden had one product to sell, and that product was Joe Biden. They knew it. Vice President Biden knew it. The leaders in those countries knew it. The companies in those countries who were contracting with Hunter Biden, they knew it. Hunter Biden, by his own admission, had a very serious drug addiction from 2003 to 2019. When you look at the photographs and things from his laptop and what he was engaged in, he wasn't engaged in a serious business. He was selling access to his father. And what I can't understand is why people are discounting the fact that Joe Biden sat on a stage and admitted to the world that he withheld federal money from Ukraine unless they fired a prosecutor that was going after the very company that his son was associated with. So I think we do have the smoking gun. And again, I'm going to go back to the fact that his son had no talent. He had no skill set. The only thing he sold was access to his father.
Yeah, I agree with you. And by the way, you ask any prosecutor about this bogus smoking gun cliche. Very rarely do people get convicted because there is an actual smoking gun piece of evidence. No, you build a methodical case. And I think that's exactly what your colleagues, Congressman Jordan, Congressman Comer, and Congressman Smith has done. So do you feel, I know you're a freshman in Congress, only 6 months in, what a first half a year this has been for you.
Yes, it
Do you
has.
feel this is moving toward, as the speaker said, an impeachment inquiry? In fact, I got to ask at this point, what's the delay on initiating an impeachment inquiry?
Well, I think that we're building the case right now in the Select Committee on the Weaponization of the Government, as well as the Judiciary Committee, and I'm on both of those committees. We're bringing in the witnesses, whether it is Mayorkas or it's Christopher Wray or it's the whistleblowers. We're bringing in the people to make the case as to why the corruption and activities of members of this administration rise to the level of an impeachment inquiry. So I think that the very information that we're gathering and putting together is to put together that case for the American public so that they understand, number one, how incredibly corrupt the Biden crime family is. But in addition to that, there are other people in this administration that need to be held accountable for their actions as well, including, I would say, Mayorkas and Christopher Wray. Merrick Garland has been a total political hack. I think he
Yeah.
needs to be brought before the Judiciary Committee and questioned about his behavior and conduct, especially in the way that he's treated Donald Trump and others related to January 6th and the way that he has treated Hunter Biden and people in the Biden orbit.
Great. Yeah, two tiers of justice. It's becoming unmistakable. We're also getting reports leaked out of the Fulton County Prosecutor's Office down in Georgia that there are multiple charges now pending against Donald Trump, including some RICO charges, which of course is a term used for mobsters. We know this grand jury adjourned several months ago. They're sitting on this thing, and it looks like they're just waiting for time. I mean, what have they learned as of now, August 2023, post January 6th or post 2020 election, that they didn't know last year or the year before that? Doesn't it appear at this point that if we do get more charges against Donald Trump out of Atlanta, that this is nothing more than election interference? They're waiting to time this out right for the election.
I think that that's very clear. I think, again, I'll use the terminology. These people are political hacks. They're going after Donald Trump and his supporters because they despise him and what he stood for, what he did while he was in office. They're scared to death that there is a possibility that he could be reelected as president because we are so tired of the corruption and the incompetence, the inflation, the horrible policies coming out of the Biden administration. And so, absolutely, they are working together to time these various indictments so that they can roll it out in front of the American people. The mainstream press will then run with it and scream like their hair's on fire about how he's a threat to democracy and on and on and on, when they're the two true threats to democracy. I would, yes, use your terminology. This is election interference, but it's also political interference from the very top people in our government, both at the state level and the federal level. But I guess one of the things that I see as a good thing about this is that there should be discovery that is going to be disclosing and exposing a lot of this information so that the American public really can get a better idea of what has been going on with, again, the down in Georgia, as well as Merrick Garland, the prosecutor in New York. You know, it's so many things at this point that it's clear that they're attempting to destroy Donald Trump, and they're using the justice system to do it.
Boy, did the voters of Wyoming get an upgrade in the House of Representatives this last election. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate your continued efforts on the Hill.
Thank you, Larry.
There's more to come on O'Connor tonight. Keep it here at Salem News Channel.